podcast.
It's empty, Gail.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome. It is Friday night. It's our new night. It's the Snobs podcast. I'm your host, Mick Manhattan. Paul could not be here tonight. I do have somebody special sitting in the green room waiting to join. But as always, or at least for the last few weeks, we have been doing our reviews first. It's been very exciting, but it also leaves us a lot of room to be open. And I realize I'm far away because I didn't move my mic where it needs to be. Professional. We've been doing our reviews first. Let us know what you guys think about that. I hear you guys I read all your comments over on all of our podcasting places, sites and stuff like that, over here on YouTube, things. I'd love to hear what you guys think about the new format of the show. Do you like the reviews in the beginning? Do you like the reviews gone? Let's hear it. But I do love the topics. We got an all new top 5. We're going to be talking some TV tonight. It's going to get exciting. But I want to get started. Let's start with our first review, shall we? New artwork. That's right, everybody. We have new artwork for all of our reviews. And I'm talking about Drop. That's right. First review of the night is Drop. It is a new horror-esque thriller movie. I would say best try at being Hitchcock that you can get these days. It is a movie that has a lot of flaws. It's about a young woman who has suffered a trauma in the past. And they kind of let you know that in the first few minutes. Nothing too big. It's kind of vague. You don't really see much about it. You do realize that she has been the victim of a horrific, violent trauma. And I don't know where that comes into play again. It's called back to a couple of times in terms of her emotional state in certain times. But I don't know why it keeps getting called back onto. It seems like something just to be added in there to make our main character a victim. It didn't work. It fell flat. A year later, she's now going on this date with the guy from 1923, and she starts getting drops. Yeah, it's not about them being up in a high restaurant where somebody could drop. She starts getting a thing on her phone called drops. I guess those are messages or memes where if somebody's close, they can drop it on your phone. I don't know how it works. I don't do drop. I don't have drop. I don't do drop. I love it. But I watched this movie and she kept getting all of these different messages saying that she has to take care of the guy, like unalive him, that she's on the date with. She doesn't know why. And the whole movie is just her trying to figure out who's sending them from within the restaurant and figure out that whole system of like what's sort of happening and what's going on. I'm going to save you from the details. I don't spoil if I don't have to. And this is not a spoiler review, unless it's like 3 years older or more. But I will say when it comes to Drop, it was not a satisfying movie. It's not a satisfying ending. And the characters in it were fine. I liked the lead actress the best out of everybody. And they did a pretty good job at creating red herrings. There were a few times I'm like, oh, maybe it's her. Maybe it's him. Maybe it's them. Something like that. But overall, I didn't even care because once we got to the review, I was like, this is way lamer than any of the other things I just came up with in my head. And that's a problem when you get to a horror thriller like this. So Drop is one that you can drop. You don't have to check it out, but I'll never tell you not to. So go check it out. Let me know what you think. Sound off in the comments. Let's talk about it. But as for me, Drop was just one that missed the mark. I gave it a 1.5 out of 5 stars. Just wasn't that good. But let me know what you guys think. All right. Thanks for watching that review. Let's get to our next review. And that is the new Netflix movie, Havoc, starring Tom Hardy, Timothy Olyphant, Forrest Whitaker. It ain't getting much better in this. It really is not getting much better when it comes to these movies lately. But we will finish strong. Don't worry, and I'll tell you how in just a few. But Havoc is a movie takes place in, I guess, some sort of dystopian, futuresque type city that is completely lawless, run like the West. It seems like certain parts of people in this country would absolutely love it if it was like this. And the cops are as dirty as they come, I guess. They don't explain why. You don't really understand it. Even Tom Hardy's character as a cop is a dirty cop who works for the mayor and does odd jobs, and he doesn't want to. And it's not even about him having a heart of gold, because he does not have a heart of gold in this movie. He is a dark, demented, deranged man who kills people with a badge. But he's trying to do the right thing in this. And we've seen this story before. It's not great. He has to save the mayor's son, who has been framed for unaliving one of the biggest mob bosses. So now the mother of that mob boss is sending everyone after them. So it sort of plays like a 16 blocks, but again, not as good. And it's a lot more violent. You do get a lot of fun, crazy fight scenes in it. Overall, the characters, though, they spoke too low. Everything was a little too dim. And I realize when it comes to complaining about that as an audience member, you might say, well, some movies are darker. Some movies are supposed to be lower. That's true. But you're supposed to make it work within the movie so that way everybody can enjoy. I'm not saying everybody has to like the movie, but everybody can enjoy the sound. Everybody can enjoy the images, things like that. And they did not do that here. It seemed like everything was just on a green screen. Very basic, very dry. Tom Hardy seemed like he was kind of phoning in his whole thing. Like, I'm watching him on Mobland, which is fantastic. And then I watch this and I'm like, why are you being weird again? Like, he just gets weird. Like, he'll be in certain TV shows and he's fantastic. You know, certain type of, eccentric characters, things like that. And in Mobland, he's very kind of straightforward, but he is a mobster. In this, he goes back to that weird range where it's just like he speaks real low and like he just acts weird. I know I said weird a lot. I'm overusing the word, but it is true. He puts on those performances and it just completely falls flat every single time I see it. And Havoc was no different. This is just more fodder from the Netflix camp that just goes nowhere and it seems kind of aimless. Let me know what you think, though. Sound Off Havoc is streaming now, so you can go check that out. And I appreciate you checking out my review of this. And another new original one, Neighborhood Watch, is our next review, starring, of course, Jeffrey Dean Morgan and was it Jack Quaid? Jack Quaid, Dennis Quaid's son. They're on The Boys together. I know they're friendly with each other, and they star in this movie together where he plays an ex-campus security, or like a retired campus security guard, and Jack Quaid's character is a paranoid schizophrenic who just got out of a mental asylum, and he's kind of reacclimating himself to life, but he sees things and he hears things, and he's trying to like work through that. Well, he witnesses a kidnapping of a young woman, and so he sets out to go to the police. He does try to do the right thing, try and get a handle. Nobody believes him because of his past. So he goes to the security guard knowing that he is hardcore into being a cop and always wanted to be and knows all the procedures and such. He goes to him, and then these two become the unwitting partners who have teamed up together, and they just can't stand each other at first, and then it grows into this fun relationship. They played well against each other. The characters were interesting. The story, very basic, nothing too major. It was pretty good. I gave it a 2 out of 5 because there's nothing to write home about. We've seen this before. And there are some choices in this that are very slow. Not slow burns, but slow paced. And it just didn't really work. I also didn't like really the angles they took with some of the backstory with the characters. And there's a sister character played by Malin Ackerman in it who, when she's in it, plays a good role, and you kind of get this deep sort of past look at Jack Quaid's character's life in it, and it really doesn't go anywhere, and the ending sort of just ends. Wasn't a huge fan of that, but again, 2 out of 5. It's one, check it out maybe when it's streaming or something like that, and let me know what you think. Sound off in the comments when you do get a chance to check it out. But it's not an intense thriller. It's nothing crazy. It's just interesting. It's more of a dramedy, if anything. All right, but thank you for watching this review, and let's get to our next one. Locked, starring Anthony Hopkins and Bill Skarsgård. Now, this one, I gave 2.5 out of 5. This is an interesting one. So Bill Skarsgård plays sort of a down and out, sort of like punk who just kind of runs on the streets, steals stuff to get some extra money when he needs it. He's never really there for his kid, never really shows up for her or anything. She's a young girl. And, so he goes around, but he always seems to feel bad about it. It seems like he has a good head on his shoulders in terms of how to think, what to think, and how to like kind of interact with people. You know, very street smart and savvy and stuff like that. But he is still a thief. He still just wants to go out and steal. And he runs into this car. Now it's a Dallas. I don't know much about cars. It's supposed to be a very luxurious car. I don't know if that is a real car or was just used for the movie. He finds the door open, gets in. and realizes he can't get out. He is locked into this car, and the controls are all run by Anthony Hopkins' character, who's like a megalomaniacal billionaire who just wants him to suffer for trying to steal from him. And so the whole movie takes place with Bill Skarsgård stuck in this car, and it does a good job delivering the thrills. Now, the acting in this is fantastic. I mean, you have Anthony Hopkins and Bill Skarsgård, two arguably great actors in this field, and it plays very much similar to like what the movie Sleuth was, where it's like two people sort of going back and forth. It's like this cat and mouse, but they're very much present at all times. And it's interesting as the mystery kind of plays out. And I like that aspect of it. It's a middle of the road type of movie. We've seen this before where somebody's locked into a space and they kind of have to deal with that setting with somebody kind of keeping them there. You know, we've seen it with great movies like Cube and others, but this one did a good job with it, but at the same time seemed a little implausible at times with a lot of the stuff. And the ending kind of goes a little chaotic, and I didn't love that aspect of it. Middle of the road movie. I would wait for it to come out on streaming to check out if it's not out already. I would love for you to let me know what you think in the comments, because this is a pretty good movie. And again, in sort of exercise of acting, you're going to get something from this movie. Cinematography is real cool. Like, especially considering it all takes place in the car, you know, for the most part. And yeah, I just really enjoyed how they shot it, how they kind of put everything together, and the inventive ways they did that. So I got to give us some credit to Locked. I thought it was pretty good. I went into this not really knowing what to expect, and I didn't love it, but I wound up enjoying it a lot more than I thought I would. So thanks for checking out this review, and let me know what you think in the comments. On to our next. It's Until Dawn. I'm going to give you a fair shake on this one. I've never played a video game. I didn't even know it was a video game until this movie started coming out. Not a big gamer guy. You guys know that. So for me, I had no like desire to see it, but at the same time, like horror movies, so I'm in. I love horror. So it looked cool in terms of like what kind of horror they're throwing at us. From the trailer, I got a very much a cabin in the woods type of vibe where they're going to be dealing with a lot more than what we might expect. Did not want to know anything about the video game going in, because sometimes that can like really sully things, like, you know, like The Last of Us. Like, I did learn all about the video game before going into that. And for anybody who's watching it, season 2 was sullied for me by learning that. So like that's why I had that disconnect with this one. I didn't really care. I'd never played it, never heard of it. So I figured maybe just go in and I'll appreciate it more. I did not. This movie was just ridiculous. It's like 5 friends are going out. One of them's really sad because her sister went missing years ago, which you find out she went to the same place that they did. And it's this experiment in fear. And what they do is every time they're unalived by some kind of supernatural or monstrous force, they are brought right back to the day again, to the start, and they have to keep going until they survive. And as you go through it, they have all different types of things they have to go through, you know, sometimes getting separated. And so you get a lot of horror tropes in this that kind of show up. None of all which were interesting, in my opinion. I really had a problem with this movie. The story is lame. I realized they're trying to fit in a lot with the video games. The imagery just didn't look interesting. It was too dark. And again, for a horror movie, that's fine, but it's too dark. Like, I want to be able to see the horror. I just don't want to hear things, you know? So like, I just didn't have a great time with this movie, and the horror was very CGI. And you know me with my practicals. Not saying there weren't any in there, but I could spot a few. They still didn't land in that great of a way for me. So Until Dawn was a bit of a miss. It's out now. You can go check it out. Let me know what you think in the comments. But it was a 2 out of 5 for me. I just did not have a good time with it for sure. All right, but let me know, like I said. And let's get to our last review for the evening. Thunderbolts. I finished off strong. I did. This is the last movie I watched, so that was kind of fun. Thunderbolts. I give it a 3.5 out of 5. I did not expect to like this movie. Now, I like the Thunderbolts in the comic books, and they're very different. Even the way they get their name and how they're put together, it's different. Is it way, way different? they touch on a lot of things that are in the comics, but it's definitely not Valentino who puts the Thunderbolts together. And if you know anything about Marvel Comics, you probably know who did. Also, Norman Osborn ran the Thunderbolts for a little while. So there was a lot of cool aspects to this. I did like Valentina's character, who in the comics is different. Not very different, but she is different. And for this, I really like Julia Louis-Dreyfus. She, you're coming into this movie, The Thunderbolts, as sort of a comedy action, more comedy than action. I will say that. And she was great to lead that up. What do you get when you have misfit, anti-hero, sometimes villains all coming together for a team? She's perfect to sort of lead that charge. I don't want to give too much away. This is coming out this weekend, so I'm not going to get into full spoilers. But everybody in this was a lot of fun. Great characters all together. We get to see these characters. Besides Yelena, I think Yelena has had a lot of time to shine between the Hawkeye TV show and then the first Black Widow film played by Florence Pugh. But everybody else finally gets time to shine and gets a little bit more, of an impact in this. Like John Walker is in it. Ghost is in it, things like that. So they all get a little bit more than they got in the other films, their respective films and shows that they're in. Bucky shines. Bucky's fantastic. I love him as the lead of the Thunderbolts. I think he did a great job. Sebastian Stan's a great actor, so it was great to have him on board. It was great to see David Harbour as Red Guardian again. I did not expect him to fit into this role. I would have liked to have seen maybe the addition of Red Hulk, because he is and was in Thunderbolts, not at all times, but I think he was one of the originals. And I would have liked to maybe seen him come in, but they do give it a reference, so I have to give them a lot of credit. Now, as far as Marvel goes, they have not been blowing me away since, after Endgame. I did love No Way Home. I thought that was great, but everything since has just sort of been mediocre. I like Daredevil Born Again, which had just come out, and that's sort of the most recent thing. But overall, I did not go into this expecting to care or have any fun with it. Not that I thought it was going to be bad. I just didn't think it was going to be something I would enjoy. And I did. I had such a good time with this movie. It was fun. It was action-packed. Everybody came together and played off each other really well. The addition of Louis Pullman in the movie as Bob and Sentry, for anybody who knows who Sentry is, was fantastic. I liked the villain in this movie, and I liked how it all sort of played out. It plays quick, but it plays well. And they all did a good job together. Now, is it the perfect movie? No, there's some missteps here and there. Some of the interactions aren't always great, but overall, it was just a really fun movie and a back to true grounded form for Marvel, which I think it needs more of right now. And I really did enjoy that aspect of this movie. So, I think go check out Thunderbolts if you haven't checked it out already. But I did really appreciate that with Thunderbolts, as grounded as it was, it tried to have compelling backstory put in there in such an inventive way that really added a lot of emotion and really shine a light on, like, what certain people go through at certain times and like what these characters have gone through since everything. So I have to give a lot of credit to Thunderbolts and Marvel for doing this one. Great job on that one. But that's the end of my review. I want to say thank you guys for joining in for these reviews, for watching this as a clip. Make sure to go back and check out the whole podcast. But let's get started, shall we? I'm going to bring in my boy Roy. His boy Elroy. That's what
Jane's wife.
His boy Elroy. Shane. Oh, God. Rosie too.
Daughter Judy.
No, we can forget Judy. Judy can just be forgotten. She was a little too
judgmental.
Pompous.
Judge Judy.
God, you remember that show? The Jetsons. What a concept. What a concept, man.
It was Flintstones in space.
First of all, it was not. There was a lot less threatening from George Jetson. There's Fred, on the other hand, all about that threatening. He wanted to throw her to the moon with a black eye. George, he was like, nah, I'm bringing some flowers to her. So do not compare it to Flintstones. It's, if anything, it's its own thing. Although, did you ever hear they have a fan theory about that?
About what?
Okay. So I'm trying to remember it correctly because I want to say it right. I guess this was a city after what I guess is climate change happens on the bottom on the ground.
Yeah, all the buildings are on posts.
Yeah, they
And
built
they
it
just
on
hide.
posts nonetheless.
Yeah.
But I guess down below are the Flintstones.
Oh,
That's where like Bedrock and like that whole land is. So like it's sort of become this like it kind of reverted back, I guess.
like Elysium.
I guess so. That's true. Well, although the only reason that doesn't work is because there's not like a million posts everywhere on the Flintstones.
Yeah.
And there would like it'd be weird to have everything be rock and then just white posts coming out of the ground that nobody talks about or has anything to do with. It's like, is that the windmills? We're gonna fight the windmills? But no, I tell you, it took a lot for me personally, when it came to the Jetsons to not want to be on one of those post houses because it was one of the best. But we're not here to talk about post houses, okay? Or Flintstone houses down below in their measly little rocks, hitting their wives and stuff. We're here to talk about TV, my friend, which I guess sort of kind of works. But like, I have some ideas. I want to talk about like, what are you watching now? Well, I know what you're watching. Share in the comments whatever you guys are watching too. But you're probably watching. Let me guess. You're on season 3 of Breaking Bad.
No, of Better Call Saul.
You are on season 3 of Better Call Saul?
Season 3 of Better Call Saul, yes.
I feel like you watch like either Star Trek or Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul now. There's no in between. You're like a little more refined of our parents' generation who would just watch Walker, Texas Ranger on repeat all day, all night long. And I can't knock that because I'm not saying
with me is that like my parents will still they'll watch like, oh, Columbo's on, let's watch that, or Matlock or a Murder She Wrote. They'll watch but the thing is I'll watch those too if I come across them. But yeah, like Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul and Star Trek The Next Generation are all in there. They're all on my list.
So, is there anything new that you're trying right now?
Right now I'm watching Last of Us.
I am not. I decided to abstain myself from season 2 right now.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I talked about earlier. I can't do it right now.
Well, so I was watching that. Before that was Severance. I've been keeping up with that. House of the Dragon and The Boys were last summer. Now those shows have become where like we're not gonna try and do this every year. We're just gonna throw out seasons whenever it's convenient.
Well, I don't want to get into that format just yet, but because I want to talk about my amazing new show that I'm watching. And that is Suits LA.
Okay.
I don't know why I started watching Suits LA. First of all, Suits, for anyone who's never seen Suits before, is a bunch of white dudes who look like they've never really played sports before, except for maybe pick up basketball at their like gym, telling everyone they come into contact with they can kick their ass. That's that show. Like literally, that's that show. And even in Suits LA, it's like they know they can't kick their asses, but they still say it. I will give them credit though. They did just like check one dude. Like one dude was just like, "I'll beat your ass," and he was just like, "No, you won't." Like every time I watch that show, I'm like, "No, you won't." You should know better. I mean, even Green Arrow's on this show, and he's not kicking anybody's ass. I mean, let's be real. But they still threaten it. That whole show is just lawyers threatening other people all day long.
So they're lawyers and they're like what in the sports industry, or they're like representing players or something, or like what is?
So in the original show, they were corporate lawyers for all different type of corporations. Took place in New York.
Oh,
City.
Okay.
In this show, in Suits LA, it's their entertainment. It's so dumb. I love it. I'll watch it. I'll watch anything with Stephen Amell not because he's good. He's not a strong actor. But you know how, like, there's an actor out there. How do you put this? I just try to support him. I guess that's what it is. I just try to support his career. It's like he had a dream to become an actor, and he's getting his chance. But they're not great. He's not great at it. But you want to, like, support him because he seems like a really nice guy. So I watched Suits LA. And that's where that goes. That was the end of that story. That's where that goes. I just watched Suits LA, and it's a weird show. And Hollywood's weird, which we knew, but they're always like that one dude had to get a killer off, basically. So he masturbated him for like 20 minutes, and
I was waiting for that joke. If you weren't gonna make it,
oh, you son of a! No, you weren't. I like that's like the most recent I'm watching right now. I did start watching Matlock, the new Matlock show with Kathy Bates.
Oh yeah,
and it is very CBS, but I'm still enjoying it. She plays like a woman whose daughter died of fentanyl overdose. And I guess there was a law firm that hid like trials that were being done with that drug. And so she went undercover in that law firm to find out who hid the trial. And that's what it is. So she took the name Matlock. So there's no connection to the original Matlock, just so you guys know. But
yeah, that sounds like one of these modern reboot things that like have no connection to the original. So why couldn't they just make her Matlock like that?
You couldn't do the same thing and just say her name was Matlock. Why does it you didn't why couldn't it just be let's just face facts. It's because they wanted to use Matlock to get viewers. Yeah. But it's actually a pretty interesting story where I kind of like all the, because it's Kathy Bates. I like Kathy Bates whenever she's in. And the story is very procedural and a law procedural, but I don't mind them. And it's one of the better ones I watched.
Yeah.
Why they call it Matlock? Well, I know why in the show they call it Matlock, which is, she's undercover. So she picked a new name and said she was a fan of the show.
Yeah.
They know her real name isn't Matlock in the show. All right. You just talked me out of this show, and you need to say ask questions. I don't 100% know where to go with that now. So
yeah,
tough noogies. But no, yeah. So overall, like that, like these are new things. Oh man, I'm really into a lot of law shows right now. That's not good. It's all the news lately. I want to see how the law works. Well, maybe I just want to see some justice served for once in a while.
Yeah.
But yeah, overall though, I don't have anything I'm really excited about. You know what's sad? I don't get excited whenever I hear anything about a Marvel TV show or a Star Wars TV show anymore.
Yeah.
I know Andor, it's going to be super good. I watched the first season and I'll go back and finish it. But
yeah, I need to go back and finish it. I slowed down in the prison period of them.
But like the kids show, like I was like, I'm just not into it. I don't really want to do this right now.
Mm-hmm. That's another thing that I think happens is with Disney's been cranking out the Marvel and the Star Wars movies or the miniseries, the TV shows, and I feel like I have to be in the right mood for them. You know, sometimes it's just like I don't feel like watching that right now. Like maybe I'll watch at some point. Like I think Moon Knight was one that I was just like, I'm watching this when I'm too tired. I can't follow what the hell's going on here.
It's a lot.
And even the new Daredevil, which we enjoyed. Maybe you could tell me, like, does the show pick up right where the old show left off?
Not right where it left off, but it does. It is connected. So like it picks up with him, Karen, and Foggy walking out of their law firm. So there is, so like there's like a few years past, but then they kind of go into that story and that happens, and then it picks up a year after that event.
Oh, okay.
So
Yeah,
it's
I mean, just because we were watching it, my wife and I, and we're like, we were both kind of like, did we miss an episode? Did we start on the second? It seemed like they jumped right in, and there were things they were talking about that I was like, wait, did we miss something? Or and it was like they dove right in, so that's good. It's not like
yeah.
they stretched it out like so many other shows do that now, where they take a like a 2 or 3 episode idea and stretch it out to 8. you know but
It's
anyway, yeah,
it's just for anybody who's watching and listening and maybe doesn't know, so it's called Daredevil Born Again. Daredevil Born Again was a comic. It's a very good comic. You can get the trade is out. You can go get it. Where it's a very it's a dark time for Matt Murdock and like Karen and stuff like that. Like it's really dark, and through all of this suffering and everything that sort of goes on, he kind of comes out renewed. They sort of touch down on this in this one, where like he kind of stays away from it for a reason. A dark thing happens, and then like he comes out on it. I thought it would have been better to maybe follow that, but they wanted to also go with another comic. There's a few different things in there, but like another comic called Devil's Reign, which is more recent, came out a couple of years ago, where it is Kingpin becomes the mayor of the city of New York and starts hunting vigilantes. Like deputizing certain people, stuff like that. So, and Daredevil's takes him on, but like a lot of heroes do. It's a good show. Again, very grounded. I think it's too ambitious of a storyline with what they built. Like you have all of these heroes that you're introducing, and Daredevil, and Punisher's in there too, but he was introduced on Daredevil. So, in the books. So like having them all there, and they also touched down on the Punisher storyline where the cops all use his image, which is mirroring reality. And like in the comics, he tells the cops, like, if you want a hero, you want a role model, go to Captain America. I'm not that guy. That's not what this means. And in this, they sort of did it better, in my opinion. And they're going to kind of build to it. So I'm interested. And they're going to be doing a Punisher special. So like, we'll see what happens. They did a good job with this. I really liked it. But there were like 2 or 3 great storylines I would have really liked to have seen gone on a little bit more, from those books that they didn't really touch down on. So we'll see what happens in season 2, which I believe they're filming now. Oh, it is definitely coming. So we'll see what happens. And, it is a good show. Keep watching if you haven't watched it already. But did you catch that ending perchance or no?
Ending of that show?
Daredevil, yeah.
No, we've only watched the first episode of the.
You son of a! You made me think you were in it and you were going for it, but then you jumped ship and went right back to Better Call Saul.
When my wife is working, we like to watch certain shows together, and then when she's working, she's never available to watch the show. So it kind of.
What type of shows do you guys like to watch together?
Well, we watch The Boys together.
That's a dark show. That's a good show.
Yeah, I know. That's one that's like, I was surprised at the shows that I watch. That's the one that she watches with me. You'd think that she would watch like Severance or House of the Dragon or something like that. But no, she doesn't really care for those. But
yeah. I have to say, a lot of that stuff's being overdone. I'm done with Game of Thrones. I don't want or need another Game of Thrones show.
I like House of the Dragon.
I bet you do, with all of your dragon-loving
I
BS.
mean, like, you could criticize the way Game of Thrones ended. I wanted more Game of Thrones. Like that was my real problem with it, is that it was too compressed and too abrupt. And I wanted more. I wanted more of the show because I just enjoyed that show. And so them bringing it back, like, and it's a prequel, so it's set something like 100 or 150 years or something before the events of Game of Thrones. So
Mhm.
it's an interesting, it's a lot of the same kind of thing in how the whole war of the different Targaryen families, all with their claims to the throne, and
I know. I
how
watched the first episode and was like, I'm done. Ugh. I'm over it. I'm like, not that I didn't like the actors, not that I didn't like the work that went into it. It's beautiful production. It's more of the, first of all, it's not the story I want. You set up so many great characters in Game of Thrones. You could have expounded on so many stories, even stories of characters we might not have met. But we get this, and I don't care.
Well, there are plans to do other things. This, because House of the Dragon is based on another book that Martin wrote.
Fair. My only feeling on that is that I don't care. No, it's I realize I have a lot planned, and I realize that a lot of this is going to be based on certain things. I get it. I don't want any more Game of Thrones. I think we've had way too much Game of Thrones as it is before House of the Dragons. So as saying only one other show, yes. I think I would have been done. Like, let's just be fine. You ended it terribly. Let's just be done. There's no fourth. There's no, not fourth or fifth or whatever the hell book it is. There's no fourth book coming. So like, we got the story. I'm done.
It's the sixth book.
Okay, six.
There are five
Fourth,
of them
fifth,
out.
sixth.
It's the sixth one that, and every time.
Well, excuse me.
Every time there's House of the Dragon comes out, a new season, or like with Game of Thrones, anytime George R.R. Martin tweets anything, they're like, oh, does this mean the new book is coming? The new book is coming? And it's kind of, it's amusing to watch sometimes, because I'm like, I wasn't even a book reader until I watched the show, and I read the books, and it's cool. I want to see how the book ends, and obviously other fans do, but it's kind of ridiculous, the delay, because I think the fifth book came out like either right before or like during the early seasons of the show. Like, it came out, it was like, oh, finally another book. Well, at least the book readers were, and then the show was there, and it's like, well, are they ever gonna is he ever gonna finish writing the other book? And it's kind of fascinating to read about what.
He's not gonna finish shit.
Oh, he gets too much into sidetracks. He likes writing other stuff, and the main
doesn't.
main novels. What?
No, he doesn't. He doesn't like writing anything, or he'd get it done.
No. He writes tons of stuff. That's the problem. Is everybody's like, you're writing all the time, but you're not writing the book that we all want. He like the Fire and Blood, the thing with the Targaryens. That was a whole book that was written after the other 5 books. There's like this dunk and an egg thing, and that's about some specific.
Joe, if you believe he's writing all the time, I got a bridge to sell you, because this man's not right.
But he's putting out books all the time.
Yes, man. This man, yeah. When AI was invented,
No,
he gave up for a while, and he's like, "Listen, writing's too hard. We got to make this easier."
No, it's just like he's just writing all the time. It's like people kind of look at it like he's lost interest in writing the main books, because he's always been, and I like that about the books, about how it's like character has to journey across. You're over here in Winterfell and you need to get down to King's Landing. It takes several chapters, because it takes them like several weeks or months to travel that distance. But like, he wrote himself into this situation where he has characters all over the world that need to get cross paths and stuff. And well, I won't get into all.
Well, you know who fixed that perfectly into a segue? SpongeBob. A few hours later. They're all
hours.
together.
Well, it'd be a fast travel.
45
in the
days
last-
later, and they're all at King's Landing or wherever the hell they need to be to fight the White Walkers. Listen, all I'm saying is if this dude was writing, he'd have no problem finishing that book, because I've been hearing for years that he has had the story for that book the entire time and helped them write like the final, final book.
Well, he didn't really none of the show. They just had like he gave them the outline of what the plan was.
He has an outline. That's what I'm
it's
saying.
an outline, but he's got to write.
Right,
like I said, you've got a character who's over here, and you got a character who's over here, and it's like crap. I needed them to be in the same place, and now he's got to somehow figure out how to get them to be in the same place.
They walked.
Right, but the books have always had this.
I understand that, but in this one, it's first of all, it's taking too long to wait for them to get together and figure out how to get together. First, you just cut that parts out. Here's what you do. You bring them all together when the book starts, kind of like Born Again.
They
miraculously, in the years that it took to write this book, we all got together and we're here. And it's nice. And you know what? We decided to be friends. Even though
Arya is 47 years old now.
If you go by his writing, she is.
Well, in books, all the kids are younger.
It's more like Game of Thrones. It's more like playing with our hearts. Get it? Because you play games.
Game of Hearts.
Listen, don't do that. Don't steal my thunder. Don't steal my thunder. The joke may not have been great, but you can't make it better in front of the world.
Oh, I can.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm over it. I don't need what's his name bothering me with his writing. There's non-writing. I don't care. And you do. If you have an outline and you know how you want it to end, and they ended the TV show, you can figure it out. Because you know what? In the TV show, there were episodes where he was over here and she was over here and he was over here and he was over here. And you know what they did? They brought them together in like 10 episodes.
Well, that's what I was saying. In the show, people started to have fast travel. They could just one episode they're in landing, next episode they're on the wall.
No, they stopped making interesting shit happen on the way to there. That's it. That's all they did. They cut it out.
The books have that conceit. They just there has to be interesting things along the way.
I agree.
I don't know what to tell you.
I don't think they built to an interesting. Now you can just get there.
Mm-hmm.
Dry to Dragon. Who cares? Get there.
I'm not George R. R. Martin. He lives just down the road. I could go talk to him for it.
I'll wait.
He lives up in Santa Fe.
Go. I'll wait.
Okay. Well, it's a 2-hour round trip.
Listen. It's gonna be a late night, everybody.
You're just gonna
We're just gonna wait for you to knock on his door and go get him. You know he's from Jersey. He's from like right next to where I grew up.
Uh-huh.
He's from Bayonne. So
and he's a Patriots fan.
So he grew up like 20 minutes from Giant Stadium and couldn't pick one of those teams. Idiot. No wonder he's a Patriots fan from Jersey living in Santa Fe. Of course he is. Of course. That's why he can't finish his book, because he can't make up his mind of who he is. Right? One initial. He can't even pick one initial. That's the problem. That's why we're not getting.
He did that because of J.R.R. Tolkien. He doesn't have like an.
That's extreme. That's extreme. He should have let that one go.
There's an Easter egg in one of the books somewhere about like a Sir Belichick or something who went across the whatever the water.
So he's a hack
the Giants.
He's a hack. So he writes about dumb shit. Is he going to add his girlfriend in there? Is Belichick's girlfriend coming in now and going to control the whole situation?
No, his girlfriend's from Canada. You wouldn't know
her. Much younger, from Canada, and just make sure that nobody can ask him any questions at any point. Yeah, that doesn't sound like craziness, but yeah. So he adds that, and he stole the RR. He didn't even make a pen name with a J as his first name. He couldn't even steal from him right. And he doesn't even call himself GRR. He calls himself George R. This is ridiculous. So unoriginal, so dumb. I'm sure that's why I didn't write the fifth book.
But
because
you gotta remember
the
when
show did it better.
You know, when he started writing, it was back in 1990, like,
Oh, 1990, the year of double R's.
around there, give or take, like maybe 88 or something.
You got to throw the double R's in there.
But I mean, it wasn't like it like now it would be a cliche. Like then it was like he was clever for doing it, you know.
Don't bullshit me. Don't shine a turd and then put it in a box with a bow and tell me that it's a new game controller. I'm not pressing those buttons. This is some bullshit. He stole that RR and he knew what he did.
Well, yes.
And I don't respect him for it. Give me
He
the
wasn't as
final
well
book.
known. He wasn't as well known back then, so you could get away with it.
Yeah, fair. God, you're going to tell me that because so many people are too far away from each other, he can't. No. That would be like Walter White. I'm going to speak in your language for a second. That'd be like Walter White finding out that he has the big C and saying, you know what? I have an idea to make money from my family before I'm gone. And then doesn't do anything.
No, it would be like he does. Like
he steals Heisenberg the name and then just lets it go.
7 batches to Gus. 7 batches is the best meth ever to Gus. It only delivers 5 and then just stops. And then season 4 happens.
Wait, there's supposed to be 2 more? I'm out. I don't care. I don't care how this ends. The show showed me. I'm good.
Yeah, there's 2 more books coming. Yeah.
No, there's not.
Yeah.
No, there isn't. No, there's not. Do not hold your breath.
They already have names too.
I'm sure they do. I have names for things. I've written 4 books in the future. You want to know their names? That's how I know it's true.
I'm going to write them down so that I don't.
There's more truth in this administration than to that statement that there's 2 more books coming from George R.R. Martin. Prove me wrong, Georgie.
Another one is that originally there were supposed to be 5. There were supposed to be 5 books.
Of course there was. Of course there
but
was.
Then,
so you could have just been like, hey, it's over.
But then I believe the third one, like it was supposed to jump into. Well, it was like there were 2. I don't.
He's either an actor. He's either a writer who's lazy, a writer who doesn't want to let go of those characters and desperately trying not to, or he's a writer who just doesn't know how to finish off.
Well, I remember an interview at one point where he said that there's two kinds of writers. There's a kind that's like I might not be quoting it correctly, but that it's like one that's an architect that plans out everything, that has like every bit and bob like laid out exactly and fills it all in. But and then there's what he called a gardener, where you plant seeds and then you see what comes up and then you harvest it. And he says that he's like a gardener kind. So he sort of writes and sees what comes out of it. And I think he just really likes writing and world building in this universe, but he's lost interest in this particular storyline because it's like the story's already been finished in the show. And I think he's doing all kinds of other stuff. He produces movies.
He should drop an R right now because he's not living up to the great name of J.R.R. He can't even finish his book. J.R. Tolkien has books that, granted, they're not as big of books as one might think based on those movies, especially The Hobbit. But he finished it. You know who didn't finish it? Your buddy George R.R. Martin. And you know who else doesn't have any characters on my list tonight? George R.R. Martin. And with that being said, Get to the top 5 countdown of TV characters. Yeah, I didn't want to talk about George R. R. Martin anymore. Tired of him.
Well,
Like,
too
let's talk
bad.
about TV, and then we get into him, and he's the worst. No, he's not the worst. I mean, I feel like I could be friends with him, but I would get really annoyed with him because, like, he would start a sentence and never finish it, and I would just be like, "Come on, man."
It's really funny about when I first saw him. When I first saw like him speaking, I was always envisioning some guy who would talk like this and talk about boiled leather and all of that blah. That's just how I imagined. Like
That
the
is
voice
not
that
how
was
he talks.
speaking.
I've heard
No, it's
interviews
not.
with him.
No, he kind of talks like this, you know.
Oh God, I feel like he should have been a comic book writer at some point. Which, nothing bad about it, but it's quicker.
Yeah,
You know, like to write it, like that's not as many pages as writing this huge, epic, sweeping like thing. Like, he is creative. He thinks of creative stories and stuff. Like the Game of Thrones is creative storytelling, but quicker. Get on it. But we are talking about our top 5 TV characters to stay. I did put a stipulation on this one. I did all male characters. They're all humanistic characters. So I didn't use any TV characters or animals. I didn't use any TV cartoon characters or animated characters in any way. And they're all men. So now, do you have any stipulations on yours, sir?
Not really.
That's good, because I told him last minute, like I do. So number 5. Number 5. What is number 5 on your list, Roy?
Tyrion Lannister.
Son of a gun. We all know why if you go back and listen to the podcast. If you're watching this as a clip. But number 5 for me is Raymond Holt from Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Okay.
All right. I like it. We're off to a good start. I swear to God, if you say another Game of Thrones character, but what is your number 4?
Ned Stark. No, just kidding. I had Ellie from
Last of Us?
Yeah.
Oh, that was another thing too with my stipulations on my stuff is I didn't pick. They're all like non-franchise characters, if that makes sense. Like, so they're not, or non like literary characters, things like that. Like I picked like original characters on TV shows. So that's another stipulation.
So
too.
Ellie would be ineligible because it was based on a video game.
For you, it's fine. That's my stipulation.
Yeah, but
like Ellie would be ineligible for me, and so would Tyrion Lannister. You know, based on mine.
Oh, because it's based on a book.
Yeah. Well,
allegedly.
By the book.
5/7 of a book.
So you said Ellie from The Last of Us. Good choice. Bella Ramsey's doing a really good job. Also from Game of Thrones. You had to connect it in some way. God, you're the worst. Now, my number 4 is Sean Spencer from Psych. I love that character. And actually, I just found out he based it off of, I think, what was his name? Was it Chris Martin in the movie Real Genius with Val Kilmer? Rest in peace, Val. That character is great, and I went back and rewatched it again after he had passed away. And let me tell you, Sean Spencer is based on that character. That is for sure. But yeah, Sean Spencer for sure. All right, number 3. What's number 3 on your list?
Abed Nadir.
Abed Nadir from Community. Good choice.
Because I love how meta he is, and how like whole episodes are built around his
psyche.
Well, yeah, like you know how he just he understands the world through movies, and you know TV tropes and stuff like that, and he tries to analyze everybody based on those things. But of course, he's in a television show, so it's just like it's just like meta jokes, and I just loved the way they used him in Community.
I like it. I like it a lot. It's a good one. Number 3 for me was Fox Mulder from the X-Files. I love that show.
It's a good show.
The revival was cool. The second season was really off the walls. The movies were cool. But that original show, especially those first like 5 seasons.
You know,
season 7 was awesome too.
Yeah, not to get off on a tangent, but that I was really weirded out when they made that the 10th season, the revival,
Mm-hmm.
because I assumed it was going to be like a mini series, and then it really was just like 6 standalone episodes, and I was like, what? I thought
And
there
then
was good. It seemed like they were setting up a bigger narrative throughout it.
oh, they were. They did like slip in a bigger narrative throughout it,
Mhm.
but then like didn't do anything with it.
Yeah.
And then brought it back for the next season, and like we're like, we're gonna go hardcore on this though. And it's
Uh,
like, I thought you were just gonna bring it back for Monster of the Weeks again. Fine. What is this? And
yeah.
that second season was tough. Like at one point, like the alien abductions just started happening outright. Like it was wild. But and like, was Scully actually an alien? like they were trying to cover things that they had already sort of covered, and I didn't feel like they needed to cover it again. But
Yeah.
it seemed like sort of arbitrary. But yeah, Fox Mulder though, still love that character. All right, number 2 on my list, or number 2 on our list. And who's your number 2, sir?
I have Jimmy McGill / Saul Goodman.
He almost made my list.
And I put him and left Walter White out because he held his own in 2 shows. There were a lot of times in Breaking Bad when I was watching it, and I was very invested in the main storyline, but I was like, what's Saul doing? I want more Saul. And I was just like a lot of people, they loved Saul. He was like a breakout character. And then based on like 2 throwaway lines from Saul in his first episode, they created an entire other show out of it where he's an even more compelling character. And you see he's not totally such a sleazeball, that his heart was in the right place.
2 wildly different shows too.
Yes.
Like one is a straight up crime drama, and the other one is a law show.
Yeah.
Like it's got the crime in it. Don't get me wrong. Like it fantastically handles crime, but it is a law show. Most of the things that are made or broken on that show are within the courtroom, or at least within the legal process, which I loved. I love that they kind of kept it at that. And I did just rewatch a scene the other day, and that was Howard's final scene. Heartbreaking. That is a heartbreaking character in TV history. Great shows though. Great choice.
Wife's gonna be working with Patrick Fabian.
Oh, that's awesome. I loved him on that show. I like him in a lot of stuff. Like he's always been
and she worked with him already when she worked on Better Call Saul season 4.
That's true. That is very true.
So
that's awesome.
Be a little reunion with the 2.
I can't wait to hear more about it. But my number 2, he's on the cover, and I love it, from the Righteous Gemstones. Walton Goggins as Baby Billy. First off, I didn't know you could do a live action Rick and Morty until I saw the first episode. And if anybody who's seen it knows what I'm talking about, where he's naked jet skiing, and it's out. You see it all as this man is naked jet skiing in his old suit. And his dick is just out. And it is. But when I saw that, all I thought was, he could play Rick Sanchez. He's already got the hair. He's already got sort of that look. And like Rick Sanchez is always naked. And it just looked like that. That's it. He's naked in that show, looked just like Rick Sanchez. I'm like, we can get a live action here going. That was my first reaction to a naked man on a naked Walton Goggins. Was I want now Rick and Morty as a live action. And Walton Goggins smashes it out of the park with Baby Billy. If you don't watch this show, it's about evangelist family living in, like, I think it's North or South Carolina, and they're huge. They're big time. Like the father and mother, the father played by John Goodman, the mother played by Jennifer Nettles. They built this huge empire as these evangelists. They're good people, but they are rich evangelists, and like we see how their spoiled kids take that on. Danny McBride plays one, and the whole cast is just amazing. But Baby Billy, played by Walton Goggins, was the brother of the mom character, played by Jennifer Nettles, and they grew up as child performers. And all this guy wants is to be a star. All he wants in life, and he says the most outlandish stuff. He acts in the most outlandish ways, and he gets away with all of it because he's amazing. In the most recent episode, because the show's ending soon, I do recommend going to see it, or watching it because it's hilarious and fantastically written, is watching him play a teen Jesus. That's right. This man played a teen Jesus on a TV show he was producing. And at one point he looks at a guy in crutches and goes, "Here, I got your miracle right here, nerd," in a musical. And like the guy drops the crutches and goes, and it's so funny. And I'm not doing it justice, but I would love for you guys to go check that out. He's a great character.
I want to blow your mind. I worked on that show.
You worked on it? You worked on Righteous Gemstones?
Yep.
That's awesome.
The outhouse baby.
Oh my God! Really?
Yep.
Yes.
We so in some of those shots, it's a real baby. It's a real, like 4-month-old baby or whatever. But they obviously they can't put crap all over a real baby, so they put blue yogurt because it's supposed to have the blue outhouse, porta potty goo. So, but they use blue yogurt. It has like a light blue color. Totally wrong for what it's supposed to look like. So we were tasked with making that light blue yogurt look like dark blue porta potty juice.
I remember that scene. You did a good job.
And I also did. There's one where the woman. I only could remember as the woman who was in Knives Out.
Yeah. I know. She played the nurse in Knives Out. She plays the daughter in this. I can't. And she's so funny.
There's one scene where she's running beside a bus and she hits the door, and she cracks the door. I did the crack.
Nice. That was a good one too. I remember that scene. Great show, and it's awesome to hear that you worked on it, my friend. But yeah, go check that out. If you haven't watched Righteous Gemstones, it was fantastic. All right, number one.
I need to watch it. It looked pretty funny from what we saw. What we worked on, it looked pretty funny, but I just never got around to watching it.
I would love it if you'd watch it. I'd love it if you watch it. Definitely the first season takes it to a little more depraved of a place. And then the second season, they sort of like course correct so that every character seems like just a depraved piece of garbage. So like they're a likable. They don't lose the depravity. They just up the likable. So you're kind of like, all right, I'm in. And it's Danny McBride, so like you know what to expect if you've ever seen one of his shows, like Eastbound and Down or Vice Principals. It's gonna be wild. Please watch this show and just let me know what you think.
I'll check it out.
All right, number one on your list. Who's your number one, sir?
Number one on my list is right here, Mr. Data.
Mr. Data, Brent Spiner from TNG, baby. I love it. That's a good one. My number one is my favorite. Again, my favorite TV character of all time, and a show I will watch at least once a year, all the way through. Ted Lasso.
Yeah.
Ted Lasso is a great character. I love it. It's coming back for season 4, so I'm even more excited to see where it goes. But
I thought you were going to pick MacGyver.
I love MacGyver. I do. Actually, I started watching MacGyver with my youngest.
Oh yeah,
because he's really into science and he's really into experiments and stuff like that. And I was like, and he likes spy stuff right now. Spies. We watched a bunch of the James Bond movies together, and so like he's all about spies right now.
Nice.
And so MacGyver is enough of a spy where he was like, he doesn't use the guns. He thinks his way out. Like that's what he likes about him. He likes that he has science experiments to help him get out.
Oh yeah, that's what I loved about MacGyver. I mean,
that's what I liked about
that was the gimmick of the show, But
that's what I liked about the A-Team, though. The A-Team, like, yeah, they would fire, but like they always had to build something. They had to engineer their way out of it.
Yeah, and they had to cook.
MacGyver took that one step farther and just did it in such a wonderful way with that mullet that I'm trying to reenact here, but it's not long enough. I'll get there. I got to fan it out.
I mean, I got to buzz the top. My hair's getting outrageous lately.
You're getting close to John Mayerdom.
Yeah. It's been like 6 months.
All right, we're going to close out the show. Look at everybody's comments in a second, so keep commenting. But before we do, let me just go over Mick's movie pick for this week. That's right. It's out. You can go watch it on our classic film reviews. But I chose Rope from 1948. It's an Hitchcock classic. This month we're doing all thrillers. Kind of coincide with CFF, which if you guys don't know, Carolina Fear Fest. an amazing con that's coming up on Memorial Day weekend. I'm there every year. I'm a media content producer with them. So come out, see us. They're going to have some great people out there. Malcolm McDowell's going to be there. Hopefully he remembers me. So that'll be fun. But I thought I would do some thrillers along with all the horror stuff we do. Rope is a fantastic movie. I do a full classic film review. Like I said, that's out. You can go check it out. We get in deep with it. But just so you know, if you like those movies that have sort of that one shot, single take scenes that you really enjoy, this whole movie is that. There's actually 11 cuts that went into the film because film runs out. You have to do it that way. But he does it in such a creative way that they actually just ran it right through, and they had moving sets the whole nine. But if you go check out our classic film review, you hear that and more. But yeah, that's my mixed movie pick from 1948 for this week. Go check it out. Hey, that wasn't too bad. End of the show.
No.
We got through it pretty seamlessly. Let's see what everybody's saying. James, what's going on, bud? Drop was a lot better than I thought it would be. They went way harder on the cinematography and editing than I expected. They did, but I just didn't think the story or the characters did it. Until Dawn movie is nothing like the video game. Separate from that, it's just a forgettable generic. I wouldn't even say it's generic. It was just lame. Unalived. You have to say that or you get in trouble now. You can't see it. Thunderbolts was a lot better than I thought it would be. I feel like it was exactly what Marvel needs. It was a good shot in the arm of energy for Marvel, for sure. It was, they did a good job with Thunderbolts, and everybody in it was really well done. And like, you have Oscar-nominated actors in that movie. Definitely a bunch of Emmy-nominated ones, too. So they did a good job, which was a better depression allegory. Thunderbolts or Woman in the Yard? Well, allegory-wise, I would say the woman in the yard is, but they did a good job covering depression and what that looks like, especially in different ways for different people and what they've been through. I like that. And Sturdy says, "Yeah, no blacks in the Flintstones and the Jetsons. Sounds like a future some people want, but definitely not me." I said not me, but we're not going to let that happen. And Derpy says, "What's up? What's up, Derpy? I hope you enjoyed it, man. I heard it was really, I not heard it was, I saw it and it was really good. So I hope you liked it. It was pretty good. No Marvel glazing, 8 out of 10. I didn't like the ending. It was kind of weak. An explanation of certain characters' power was weird and weak explained. Yeah, I wouldn't argue with that. That's good points. Good points on that front. All right. Roy, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing all right.
Well, it's about that time of night, and I wanted to let everybody know, like, if you guys would be so kind to go over and give this a like, maybe comments with some of your feelings about what we talked about and things like that, or some of your favorite TV shows to watch, give us some recommendations, and make sure you subscribe and hit that bell, because we have great stuff coming out. Classic film reviews. Does It Suck? We're going to be doing more and more interviews coming up in recent weeks with Carolina Fear Fest and so much more. And there's a ton of other stuff coming. So we'd love for you to be a part of it. We love movies and we know you do too. So join the Snob Nation. You follow us on Patreon for free or paid tiers. Both have their perks, but you'll get all our links, our news, stuff like that. So we'd love for you to be a part of it. And then go hang out, follow us on Blue Sky, on Facebook, and all that stuff. So we're killing it out here, having a good time, making stuff we want you to enjoy, and we hope you are. But until next time, thank you, Roy, for being a part of this, hanging out with me, having a good old time. I always have a good time with you.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. And Paul, we missed you tonight, man. He had an emergency he had to get called into. So I appreciate you, Paul. Thank you. And we'll see you next time you're back on. But remember, go get your tickets for Carolina Fear Fest. That's up now. Make sure you're there for Memorial Day weekend. That's going to be a great time. That's all I got to push at the moment. Go check out Popcorn and Pints. I will not be a part of it tomorrow. But they're finishing out James Bond, and they're doing No Time to Die. Would love for you to go check that out and check them out. And my buddy Sturdy, who was in the comments here, go check out Horror Store Sturdy. But remember, everybody, be kind to each other. That's important. Be kind to yourselves, because that's even more important. Trust me. And take care of yourselves and stay classy, because I love you. But until next time, I'm Mick Manhattan. This is the Scene Snobs. Again, make sure to hit subscribe, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Take care. I forgot to